Hello, friends. Cody Fry here. Today we're going to be talking about my song Want Me Back, the Cory Wong and Dynamo collaboration version. And in a bit, we'll be joined by Cory to kind of discuss how we made this thing. If you haven't heard the song or in particular seen the video for this song, you can YouTube Cody Fry Want Me Back or whatever. You should definitely watch that before you watch this, just so that you have some sort of idea of what I'm talking about. So the kind of genesis of this live arrangement came from a thing that I do on Sundays where I make music for no reason. And basically, I had just recorded the record version of Want Me Back, which is on my album Flying, which you can listen to on Spotify or whatever. It's kind of interesting to compare the record version of Want Me Back with the live version, if that's something that sounds fun to you. But basically, one Sunday afternoon, I just had these string samples and these drum samples, and I was just kind of messing around, and I came up with the guitar line, and what that turned into was kind of this secret track. So after the record version of Want Me Back ends, there's this thing that plays that is just sort of what I did one Sunday afternoon, just kind of having fun with this, and actually got Cory Wong to add some guitars on this. You can hear how that sounded originally. So this is off my record Flying. It plays after the song Want Me Back. You can listen to the whole thing on the record, but I'll just play you a little bit of Cory's parts here. I'll just open them up. Woo! This is the stuff I played. I also like the CP90 parts here. They're kind of fun. I like this here too. All right. So I took those elements that I created for the secret track and kind of made an arrangement out of them that could be the entire song, that we could play live on stage or whatever. So here's how this Logic file sounds. Say that you want me back. I have no idea what's happening. So again, it's basically the thing that I created on that Sunday afternoon, just repurposed. MIDI horns. But a couple things I'll show you that I think are really kind of interesting about the arrangement. First of all, for the drum breakdown, which in the live version is a battle between the drummer and the percussion player, in the demo I made, it's just cowbell. It's just a placeholder so that people know what's about to happen. And actually, when we performed it live in Nashville, it literally was just a cowbell solo. The guy that was playing percussion, I was just like, hey man, just go ham on the cowbell. One thing arrangement-wise that I think is kind of interesting is this little riff that happens in the bass instruments and piano left hand during the back half of the guitar solo. I'll play that. So what I think is kind of interesting about that is it's the that lick, but it starts on a C sharp, but the chord is basically just like a C major 7, right? So it shouldn't work, right? Because you're thinking, I gotta have a C in the bass, right? Not this C sharp. However, in the context, it really works. And this was kind of a lesson for me, is that sometimes on paper, something will seem a little strange, but when I'm arranging something, I try to sing the parts, and I just think to myself, what would I want to sing right here? And even though the C major 7 is happening, that just feels great, right? It's that little extra kind of like wrong note that gives it that juice. I don't know. Really fun thing to solo over. Another thing that I like to do on final choruses is that for the longest time, right, you've had this bass part on the chorus that's really percussive. So here, like I'll play you a clip from a previous chorus. So here's the bass. For the demo, that's actually the bass from the original record version. So, but for the final chorus, we kind of riff on that part, but instead of having it be really staccato and percussive, you have the notes be really long and sustained. And what that does is kind of just give you this subtle feeling of like gliding, where instead of that kind of like funkiness, you get this like a wall of sound sort of feeling. So the way that works is like this. I'll just solo the bass. And so it really, the drums open up, they, go to that like 4 on the floor sort of cymbal thing. And it just kind of adds that sort of like extra wall of sound thing that you want for a final chorus. It's a common thing I'll do on a final chorus to just give it that extra energy. I like this original Nord part too. A common thing I do, because it's just a habit from accompanying myself solo for so many years, is I like to play bass with my left hand. So I write a lot of parts that have like kind of busy left hand things going on. So just like, I don't know. It's fun for me. It kind of just helps me groove when I'm just playing by myself. So this would be the thing that I send to Dynamo and Cory so that they can learn the live arrangement. And from there, it kind of goes into Pro Tools. We recorded the whole thing at Sound Emporium in Nashville, and we filmed the videos. And something interesting about the video, and many of you have probably pointed this out, but I came up for the idea for the video of Want Me Back after watching the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I watched that and I was just like, this is so good. And I loved the way that it sort of like represented music and like this like comic book mentality. And I thought, we're going to be shooting this video anyway. Why not like really have some fun with it and just like make it into this, I don't know, wild representation of what recording in a studio could never really be like, but we wish it could be. So this is what, the final version of Want Me Back looks like. Would be what I send to mix, and has all of the parts and everything ready to go. It doesn't sound exactly like it just because of, I'm not a mixing engineer. Again, something I do on a lot of tunes with horns is I actually, those MIDI horns that I was laughing about in that rough demo, they're still in there. They just kind of add a little bit of meat into the real horns. And you just kind of tuck them in there just to give them some width. A lot of people ask me, Cody, how much do you edit, the drums, etc.? And you can kind of see here, there is some editing, but most of the grooves are intact. There's just like a couple fills and stuff you can see, beginning of choruses and stuff like that just get edited just to make everything lock in. But for the most part, I just let the musicians be the musicians. And so for this song, there's definitely some push and pull in the tempo, et cetera, but that's kind of what makes it feel real and fun, I think. So definitely, if stuff doesn't sound good, I feel no qualms about editing a performance, but I really try to be deft about it and like only edit the stuff that I think will really improve it rather than just be different, if that makes sense. One kind of interesting thing that not a lot of people know is that I actually played a little bit of bass on this recording. So Zach, the bass player in Dynamo, is extraordinary and crushed this tune. But I felt like the down chorus wasn't totally hitting me. I wanted just like a little bit more energy. And I think the bass player should kind of go nuts on this down chorus. But we had already tracked it, and I had told Zach not to play in the down chorus, which is my fault. So basically, I played the slap bass part on the down chorus. You can see here it's on a different track, right? No, I didn't think I needed your love, but you're the only one that anything to get like your. So that's actually me playing bass. Zach could have totally done it. I just was not smart enough to ask him to do it on the day of, so I just added it. Because first and foremost, I want the music to be exciting. And so I try not to treat like the live capturedness of it to be so sacred when for consumption, what I want this to be is just something enjoyable that just surprises you at every turn. I totally should have told the bass player to play in the down chorus because that's what ended up happening, but I just didn't know until we got the whole project back. I was just like, oh man, it just feels like it needs a little injection of energy right here. And I didn't know that on the day of. So I was just like, let's just put it in. Why not? Cory and I were reminiscing about this, and I thought I would kind of bring you guys into that conversation. So here is me and Cory talking about what making Want Me Back was like. Well,
all right, Cody, thanks for having me to talk about bass guitar today.
You want to talk about Want Me Back?
Yeah, dude. I love E minor.
I wrote some questions.
Nice. What's on the syllabus, dude?
I know we're friends and stuff, but you got to come prepared. If I'm remembering correctly, when we did Want Me Back, you were just coming off the road, right?
Yeah, and so were you. You were with me. Okay, we did like Knoxville, Nashville.
That's right. It is remarkable to me how
3 years
bad
ago?
my memory is and how good your memory is.
If I remember right, it was in August, end of August. Like the run
Yes.
was maybe like the 16th through the 23rd or 24th. It ended in Indianapolis. You were sick, so you played the opening set in Indianapolis, the
That's
last
right.
show of the run, and then just drove back right after your set.
Yeah.
And the next day, we recorded this.
Yeah. August
2018?
26th, 2018. That's when we recorded
26th.
this.
Yeah, I mean, our combined ticket worth in Knoxville that night was not necessarily banging.
Was not ideal, but the post-show hang was great. That's when we went to that bowling alley,
Yeah, we went to that
right?
bowling alley.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. That was the good stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah. The rest of the shows were all
bring the
awesome.
people out.
I don't know why that
Yeah.
one was. I mean, maybe
Anyways,
Alfie's, but
yeah, I remember driving back from Indianapolis and then hitting this sesh the next day.
I can't remember when I approached you about the idea for the video, but I think it was like I had some idea that like you were going to kind of show up in the middle of this song.
Yeah.
Do you remember like me telling you about this idea? What was your reaction like when I was like, here's what I want to do?
Anytime I sign up for something and I really believe in an artist's vision, I'm just down for
Yeah.
whatever. I do remember you saying some stuff and it was just like, yeah, whatever, man. Let's do it. I'm down with whatever you want to do. I'm in. And you pitched the idea. I thought, oh, that sounds really fun. I remember you talked about some sort of cartoony,
Yeah.
like Statham versus the World movie or something.
Close. Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jason Statham versus the world. That's all of Jason's movies.
I owe you a pretty big apology. That was
what?
the end of Mustache, Cory. That was maybe the last week of Mustache era. I remember you asking me maybe a couple days before the session something along the lines of, hey, are you going to shave the mustache before
yeah.
the session?
I mean, it looks great,
And at
man.
that point, I was just so committed to the smooth jazz mustache bit that I was in way too deep. I was in over my head.
Yeah.
And I had to keep it.
So
I had to keep it.
So to set the record straight on that was not for this video. That was for a different bit that you were doing at the time. What was that bit?
I was trying to get this fabricated award called the Kaz Nod in order to get in the good blessings of my dear friend Dave Kaz. I had some cockamamie ideas of what it would take to get there.
Right. But you subsequently received the award, so the mustache was, in a way, totally worth it.
Yes. Yes. I could tell at the time that you didn't want me to have the mustache in the video. And when I look back, I think to myself, probably would have been better off
I
not
think
having the
I think it
mustache.
adds character to the video. I think it's great. There's this moment in the video where you show up and everyone freaks out, right? Stuff's about to happen. Here comes Cory Wong, and everybody freaks out. And that moment, I think, when I was thinking about it, is kind of inspired by what really happens in real life when you walk into a room. Like, I'm not just trying to flatter you, man. This is for real. Like, when you show up, people are just like, oh, this is about to be a good time. And so, like, having hung around with you a ton on tour and all this stuff, like, I was like, people need to know that that is a real thing that happens when, like, Cory shows up. People know it's about to get funky, right? I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about, like, what it takes to cultivate that disposition or that mindset of just, like, when you show up, they know they're going to have a good time. Like, what is it about you that makes you exude that energy?
Thank you. I think a lot of it has to do with my personality and my energy in general.
Yeah.
I have pretty high energy. You know, those sort of things help as far as I was driving in my car for an hour and now I'm with a bunch of people. Here we go.
Right.
So for some ways, you know, it's as much of me just feeding off the energy of the room. And I think there's a lot of people that is the case, and a lot of people that it's completely the opposite, which is totally fine, right? Everybody's personalities, everybody's way that they energize and pick up steam comes from different places. Some more around people, some not. And I think it also depends on who's around and what the scenario
Right.
is. And, you know, in most situations that we've been in, I've just been excited to be there,
Right.
and I'm just down with whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, what are we doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I try to think of what I'm doing to avoid burnout or to avoid not wanting to do what I do anymore. The best way to avoid that is just only do things that I think are going to be fun.
Yeah.
Only be a part of projects that are going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Every situation that you and I have been in, it's something that either has been, wow, this is with our friends and it's going to be super fun,
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome, or it's, wow, this is this orchestra recording and live thing, and it's going to be so awesome musically, even though these people aren't our friends yet. You know, there's certain experiences that are going to draw certain things out of you.
I think in your playing, the joy is so apparent. And I think that's like my favorite part about collaborating with you and about hanging with you is like when we're playing music, it's just like you bring people in to that good time in such an effective way, man. And like I was just so pleased. And even like on video, it comes across so well of just like people know you're having a good time, man. There's not, there's no
Yeah.
question. And it's just so infectious and fun to watch. That's not a question. That's just a compliment. Obviously, there were two other guitar players playing with you on this session. And I was wondering, did that like change your approach at all in terms of what you decided to play or how you decided to come across musically? I know I asked you to play lead, so like you were kind of in charge, but I was wondering like if having two other players, did that make you play different or give you other ideas or anything like that?
The fun part about it is that you can work together to make something really cool. In the same
Right.
way, like a string quartet can make up one strings part
Right.
that to a lot of people just sounds like strings. A similar thing with guitar. I think if you approach it that way, it can really be a fun thing because it's a guitar ensemble. I'm sure you're going to show the demo.
Yeah.
If you haven't, well, for people that, I can corroborate the story that Cody's demos are pretty freaking good, and they're pretty particular, yet leaving enough space.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what notes you want. And where some things are, okay, this is definitely
Right.
on it, because you've set that up in the demo. I remember thinking, all right, let's approach this thing more like a section, and when it comes time to do the lead thing, I'll just do my lead thing, but within the rhythm context, it was really a coordinated effort.
You mentioned about the demos and how thorough they are. Sometimes I worry that I'm giving people too many guardrails, that like I'm not allowing them to like really like explore and feel out what would be great for the song. But at the same time, I want everybody to know what they're doing. Like for you as a collaborator, how does that kind of like come across to you as a player?
I think it depends on who the artist is. For you, you're quite particular and you know what you want. Also, there's just so much other stuff going on. And with a band that large, it's nice to have those guardrails
It's
because then
27 people or something.
yeah, then I get your vision of how I fit into the
Yeah.
thing.
When we write for you, like we're starting kind of with a blank slate. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like I show up
Yeah.
with a giant Logic file, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times we're writing based off of riffs or bass parts or
Yeah.
guitar parts that, that's the starting point and they get built around there. But I think in general with collaboration, if there is a lot of things to consider and a lot of other parts to take into consideration, I like having fairly particular notes.
Yeah.
I know not everybody does. I would say that in your stuff, I feel like there's also a good level of openness to interpretation. And that's probably due to our trust in each other.
Yeah.
But it's not like you'd notate every drum fill you want unless it's a
Right.
hook thing. In my role, because I think rhythm section in general, there's certain checkpoints and certain specific things, but then you can kind of float from there. And I think that's what makes certain types of music exciting.
Yeah. That's probably it. Cory's got an amazing guitar plugin out there. If you're looking to play guitar, funk guitar, you should check out his plugin. Got to plug the plugin.
That's right.
You can find Cory's music everywhere. Cory is amazing. If you don't know his music, go check it out. And Cory, thank you so much for jumping in and doing this. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm sorry I had the mustache for the video. And if you need to redo it, just hit me up. No charge. We'll just do it again without the mustache.
We'll CGI it out like they did with that guy in Superman. I think that's it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have a question or something I didn't get to in this video, would love to talk to you about it. Just throw your question in the comments. I'll do my best to get to everything. I love getting in the weeds with people about this stuff. This whole project was really fun to make, and I hope that comes across in the final product. Yeah, thanks. See you next time.